And I have my first experience with death as an adult, and my 10-year-old nephew drowns at the lake. The one thing that I knew to be true is that I knew that I wanted to do this grief differently. When I was 16 years old, the phone was ringing uncontrollably off the hook. It was about 3 o'clock in the morning. And I don't know if you guys remember back then, but we only had house phones. We didn't have cell phones. I couldn't understand why my parents weren't answering the phone, so I got up and I ran into the kitchen to answer the phone. My uncle was on the other end of the line, asking for my dad to come to the hospital. My aunt was, he said, exact words, hemorrhaging. In my mind, I felt like it was a female thing and that this was all going to be over quite quickly. A couple hours after that, my mom called and told me that she had something I had never heard of before, but a brain aneurysm, and she actually died. My parents never came home and sat with me and talked about grief, loss, or broken heart. I didn't know what to do with this pain that was in my heart. And so I navigated through it on my own. Oddly enough, when I sit with my sister and we talk about this time, she was only 6 years old. She said she felt like all the adults in her life were whispering. She knew something bad was going on, but they were not talking about it. We never shared that with her. Now I rush ahead through this pain about 30 years later, and I have my first experience with death as an adult, and my 10-year-old nephew drowns at the lake. The one thing that I knew to be true is that I knew that I wanted to do this grief differently, and I knew that because I was an adult now that I could find out the answers. I went out on a mission to find out everything I could about grief and loss. And you know what I found out? Nothing. There was nothing out there to help me. There were no tools out there like I thought there would be, other than a few grief support groups and some bereavement groups that were taking place at the hospital. I searched and searched until I started piecing together the parts of grief that were absolutely helpful to me. I worked through what I thought was going to help me move beyond the pain. I'm here today sitting in front of you some 17 years later, after the loss of not only that nephew, but a second nephew, a best friend, my father, and other losses and experience that I bring together to my program to share with you what it means to live beyond the pain.